Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I'm your host, Krista Porter, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Commission's weekly webinar series where we cover a variety of topics that may be of interest to libraries. We broadcast the show live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. But if you're unable to join us on Wednesdays, that's fine. We do record the show as we are doing today, and it will be available for you to watch later at your convenience. And I'll show you at the end of today's show where you can access all of those show recordings. Both the live show and the recordings are free and open to anyone to watch. So please do share with your friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, anyone you think might be interested in any of the topics we have on NCompass Live. For those of you not from Nebraska, the Nebraska Library Commission is the state agency for libraries, similar to your whatever state library. So we provide training and databases and grants and resources and state aid to all types of libraries in the state. So you will find shows on NCompass Live for all types of libraries. Public, academic, K-12, corrections, museums, historical societies, archives. Really, our only criteria is that it's something to do with libraries. We sometimes bring in guest speakers onto NCompass Live from all across the Nebraska or all across the country. But we also have Nebraska Library Commission staff that come on and do presentations for us about programs and services and resources and things we offer through the Library Commission. And that is what we have today. With me this morning is Sally and Bailee, who are going to talk about our One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens program, which here, conveniently, it's at the top of our blog, right there on the front page. The reminder from the announcement from last week of this week's show. But I'm going to hand it over to you, Sally and Bailee, to fully introduce yourselves and tell us all about this great program that we have.
Thank you, Krista. I'm Sally Snyder, and I'm the coordinator of Children and Young Adult Library Services for the Nebraska Library Commission. And this is just one of a number of projects I work on. Bailee, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Bailee Juroshek. I am the communications office specialist here. Also one of the many projects I work on here, but been excited to work on this with Sally. It's kind of my first year on working on this project, so it's been very exciting.
Bailee has been a lot of good help, and I really appreciate her skills and abilities, and also her willingness to ask me questions like, what do you mean by this word here? Because that's not making sense to me, and makes perfect sense to me, but obviously I'm wrong. So we worked it out, but I appreciate that you asked me those kinds of questions so that what we're doing is communicated better to everybody who's interested. I just knocked a book on the floor. That's the noise. But anyway.
And that's something that I think we have. That's something that's pretty common. It's funny that you mentioned that in library world, library land, and I'm sure in other professions as well. We always mention the jargon that we use, that we as library professionals have been doing this for forever. We know it in our head, but people who are just coming in to use our library, or someone like Bailee who doesn't have as much of that library experience, doesn't get it. And we have to remember that's who we're supposed to be presenting all this information to. And I think it's great when you have that kind of viewpoint on it to give us some, you might not want to say it that way. My mom wouldn't understand what I'm talking about.
That's a good example. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens. And first, I'm going to show you how to get there on our webpage. There are always a couple of different ways to get to things. A quick one is if you use these fly-out menu here on the side, you'll see Children and YA. And if you just follow that over, right here is One Book for Kids and Teens. Another thing you could do is search on our search box there and type One Book and see what comes up. And there'll be several choices. This was based on the One Book, One Nebraska idea, along with One Book, One Lincoln, One Book, One Omaha, and lots of communities have a One Book in their community for a year or whatever time frame they're talking about. When I first took over the Children's and Young Adult Library Services position, Sharon Osenga was director of back in the olden days, the Meridian Library System. And she called me and said, I think it would be, well, first come out and visit with me and we'll talk about all kinds of ideas. And one of her ideas was to have a one book for kids to go across the state. Anybody in the state who wanted to could participate. Or if they aren't ready this year and they want to use it next year, that's fine too, because it's all on the web page here. It was her idea to do that, and we talked with the people here and they said, well, yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm the one who came up with the term one book for Nebraska kids, because when we have one book, one Nebraska, one book, one Lincoln, that makes sense. But one book, one kid doesn't work. And I couldn't figure out how to, so I came up with one book for Nebraska kids and one book for Nebraska teens, because that makes sense to me. And here's another case of no one can ever remember how to say it except me, because I made it up. But that's okay. You can find it on our webpage, and you can call it whatever you want. I don't care. That's just the name I came up with. But this was Sharon Osenga's idea, and I really appreciate her interest. And she suggested the first book that we ever had on our one book for Nebraska kids. And I'm just going to scroll right down here. I'll show you more about this page in a minute, but if we go back to the oldest stuff here, I don't think you can see it very well, but the first book, one book for Nebraska kids for 2007-2008 was Rescue Josh McGuire by Ben Michelson. She was an advocate for that book, and I had not read it, and I said, I'll read it and we'll get going on it. And it was a good book to start with. I really appreciated her ideas and her help with that. Then at the beginning, we would have a different book every other year. So one book for Nebraska kids says 2007-2008. And then in 2008, we had The Book Thief for our one book for Nebraska teens, 2008-2009. And we did that for a few years. And I had a number of librarians say, please get a new book every year. Our kids can't wait 2 years to get in. I said, okay, we'll do our best for that. So that's what we did. I'm going to go back up here to this main page. And so we have 2 books new every year. This is, these are the titles for 2006. We have Lucky Scramble by Peter Raymundo, which is about a speed cubing competition in the national championship in Las Vegas. And a boy who just felt very lucky that he won his local area's competition. And who else is all in this major competition? You have some very different, interesting individuals competing. For the teens, the title is Not Nothing by Gayle Forman. And most of the time, the teens book is more of a high school level book because, again, a number of years ago, I had quite a few librarians asking me for high school level books because at that time, Golden Sower didn't have a high school title for teens to read. They do now, which is great. And so they said, please, we need something for high school level. This one is not, it's middle school, but I chose to make it the one book for Nebraska teens because there's information in there about the Holocaust. And that's a tough topic to talk about. I think that Gayle Forman handles it very well in this book. And the character Josie, who is 107 years old in this book, and he lives through the Holocaust. So his experiences, it's not too dreadful of a story. That's a bad way to put it, but she does a good job of saying kind of some of the things that happened, but they didn't happen to Josie because of other things in his life. So let me look down here. When we first started talking about one book for Nebraska kids and teens, we set up some criteria. And our criteria at that time, and it hasn't changed, but I'm always willing to revisit it. One thing we looked for was that it would be available in paperback. So it'd be more affordable for us to buy copies here to have in our book club kit lending program. Mm-hmm. Also, obviously, it needs to be of interest to the age group. It should provide good discussion because we had one book club discussion about a book that everybody loved, but it had nothing really in there to discuss. So we didn't make it a one book for Nebraska kids. And then here's where I messed up this year, but it says should not be a recent Golden Sower nominee, because the Golden Sower promotes books, and that's great. And why duplicate that? Well, but I did unintentionally, because Not Nothing is a nominee this year, as I recall. But I'm just going with it anyway. They did say with the teens it's okay, not so much a problem. So I'm going to stick with it, because we have some fun things to do with that. Bailee has worked really hard this week, putting in the links and the discussion questions, etc., that we put together. So for each book, we have some things here that we hope will be helpful to you, and you're welcome to use them or not. You're not required in any way. You can do the book club the way you want to, but we do have a website for the book and author information. We have some read-alikes, which I think is kind of helpful for kids. If they've really enjoyed this one, here's a few other titles that they might be interested in that relate to Lucky Scramble in one way or another. So that's kind of fun. Then there's also, for this one, I found out, a World Cube organization. So you can click here and go to their website. And I have it linked, well, Bailee did this for me, put it up here. But I have it linked to this page because it says who we are, what are our goals and things. Mm-hmm. So you can find out about the World Cube Association. And then under activities, we have discussion questions. Like I said, here's the page with some things that you can, if you want to just have a discussion with the kids and then maybe do an activity afterwards, here are some possibilities you can talk about. Because there's nothing harder than sitting down to talk about a book and just kind of having a blank in your head about, I totally forgot what I was going to have them talk about. That's happened to me. And I tried to put in some things that kind of made them think a little bit about writing a book. Did the author do a good job of explaining how the competitions work without it becoming tedious or boring? Because yes, you kind of need to know how the competition is set up and how they're doing things, but you don't just want a list of rules or a list of steps or anything for that. So I thought the author did a good job with that. Then we also have, I said, the activity guide, which are some different activities. You might decide to hold a solving contest at your library. Now, the World Cubing organization I sent you to, boy, do they have a list of regulations. And that's fine, because they're a big world organization. If you want to have one in your library, maybe all you need to do is make sure that the competitors agree to good sportsmanship, so that you don't have cheaters or someone scaring somebody else or something.
So the difference for that would probably be if you want to do something that is like branded with the organization, the world organization, you need to be very careful that if you're going to do something that's part of what they do, make sure you contact them, reach out to them, read their information for their rules. But you don't have to. You can just have your own local, just for your kids, your teens, to have their own fun competition.
Right, exactly.
Be aware of if you're going to try and link it to that group to keep to their rules.
And the page about that group, they say anybody can hold a competition, and you can send in information and get it approved. I don't think it's too hard, as long as you have seen the rules and everything. So you could have an official competition if you want to go to that length. And I just figured a lot of librarians have enough paperwork, but maybe I'm wrong. But it would be fun to have an official one. And then I ask a couple of things like, if we have a competition for the Rubik's Cube, because that's what they're talking about, maybe there's some other kind of item or game that people could have national competitions on, and have the students think about that and pick one and see about what kind of rules might they need to have for that in a very general way as an activity if they want to. I also like the idea of having the students, if they want to, write a paragraph story about a side character in the book. How about this person over there? How did they get here? How did they get to this competition, as one example? Or maybe, what do they like to do for fun in their spare time that has nothing to do with the Rubik's Cube? And they could write something about that. And there's also a book called 10-Word Tiny Tales. And I had that on my list a couple years ago. Sorry, my nose is itching. And that's just it. You have to have some kind of story that takes place with 10 words, and that's it. So if you look at that book, they've done a pretty good job, but that would be a lot more restrictive than writing a paragraph. So these are just some activities we came up with, and anytime anybody has an idea for an activity or even a little sheet game, we do have a couple here. This alphabet soup has kind of been an ongoing added to the list. And so you just have the kids sitting in a room, and they're, my goodness. So it says, each member name a character, event, place, or object from the book. So the first kid says something that starts with A, and then you just write them down. And the next kid says something that starts with B, and you see if you can get all the way through all the letters. And we all know who's going to be in trouble is the person with X. Q isn't that easy either, but quiz, I guess. But it's just fun. And then we also have a Mad Libs page, which we've done a few times. And this takes a paragraph or so out of the book and puts in blanks, naming what word goes there after Dirk's 5, some noun, put a noun in there. So you can have the students fill these in, trying to be as silly as possible. After Dirk's 5 monkeys, his average is the fastest, that kind of thing. Or you can have them see how close they can get to the actual paragraph just for fun. No prizes or anything. So that's kind of fun. And I tell you down here at the bottom, where is that page in the book? So you can go look and see what the sentence is that we used. And we have similar things for the teens book, author website, book website. Read-alikes for them is here. I'm especially proud of this page because I haven't read the ones on the other page, but this one I've read all the books on this page. So I feel like I can really stand behind these. They're some of my favorite recent titles. So there's, again, if a student has really enjoyed something about that book and they're looking for a similar book, here's a list that they could look at. And we also have the link to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, because this book does address the Holocaust. And this is something that they might want to learn more about and see what the museum has to offer for those who go there and those who just go to the web page. And again, I have activities and discussion questions and Mad Libs. There's another sentence out of the book that they might recognize or might not know exactly what these words are in it. But it's kind of fun to think about being either extra silly or work really hard to see, I think this is what the word is that they used.
Someone did have a question about the read-alikes for that teen one, because you had mentioned that this particular book is more not upper teens necessarily, but are there some read-alikes in there that would be for older teens potentially?
Tree Table book is the youngest. I have this grade level list here that was given on, I think it was the review. When you go to a novelist and you look at reviews, the review sources that said that. So here, Hank Hooperman is grades 5 to 12. Quagmire Tiarello is grades 5 to 8. And we have Not Nothing listed as grades 5 to 7, but that doesn't mean older students can't read it. It's just who it was aimed at. So that's a good question. I guess the only one that really might go a little higher is Hank, the 10th Mistake of Hank Hooperman.
Yeah, but you've always mentioned during your it's also your sessions that you do about the book list that it all depends on the child. Different children are at different reading levels and might read above what you might, what their particular grade level is as far as where they're in school. But also kids want to read different books just because of the content, the topic. and they should be able to read in something that is officially, like you said, just originally aimed at grades lower than them, but also ones aimed at grades above them too.
That's right. That I've always said, any one book can reach a wider range of children than the grade level listed for it.
Mhm.
Because if someone's in 4th grade, they might want to read one of these and they'll stick with it. If someone's in 10th grade and they want to read about Quagmire Tirarello, because a lot of that book takes place in Nebraska, and that
Yeah.
might draw some kids in to read it, and they don't care that it's listed as, of course, they're not, I guess I could have taken that off of there, but I was trying to make this a guide for the librarians and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So just because it says 5 to 8 doesn't mean that a 10th grader isn't going to be interested if they care about the kinds of things that happen to him in there, and also that it takes place, a lot of it's in Nebraska, which I really appreciated. I thought she represented Nebraska well. Now let's see. I kind of went longer on, I kind of ventured into territory I was going to have Bailee talk about, but sorry, Bailee.
It's okay. You do a great job. You know your stuff.
Would you like to take over now and talk about, I've shown them where the web page is, and oh yes, right up here, again, on the main web page, we have our most recent year. Sorry, I'm scrolling down again. Coming soon. We need help. Send us some ideas. I haven't come up with any even suggestions yet. It's only 2000. It's only April, so I'm not too worried about 2027 yet.
But yeah, there's an easy way on this page to be able to reach out to Sally right there in the bottom right corner. If you scroll down, Sally.
Okay, yes.
You can just click that contact Sally Snyder right there and send the suggestions right to her.
Great. Thanks for pointing that out. I like getting ideas and suggestions. And the only other thing I was going to say, and then I'll let Bailee take over, is that right here, you can jump to any, once you jump past the current year, like, so we go to 2025, and then you can just scroll down the page for all the previous books. And Bailee, what would you like to talk about now? That I kind of went further than I should have.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because you covered so much of it already. I will say just on this long scrolling page that you can go back and find all of the activities and all of the links. They're all archived. So even if you're interested in one of these older books or can't quite get a hold of this year's selection, the older selections are still just as valid, and all the resources are there for you to be able to check those out as well.
Good point. Like I'm hovering here with Lions and Liars because I noticed the paracord survival bracelet craft, because that's something that happens in the book. And I just clicked, I hope it goes to that page. So I have a few I have to recheck. Oh, here it is, updated. So there you go. So you could have that as an activity the kids do if you get some paracord and have them make their own craft. And maybe that works with something completely different that you're doing in the library. And you're not talking about the books at all. You can still use that idea where it's located here. And as you're looking, when you run across something whose link no longer works, that's another time when you can click on Sally Snyder at the bottom and say, Sally, I tried to go to this under this book and it doesn't work anymore. And we'll try to find, if not that particular page, a similar page to replace it with, because it isn't any help if the things that we put up here don't work anymore.
Possibly for some of those older titles, we might have some broken links because things have changed since that information was posted years ago. Yeah.
Especially those oldest ones. But for some of the newer ones, we have book club kits available that you can check out through us here at the Nebraska Library Commission, or possibly your local library systems. If you want to, let's do Lions and Liars again, Sally. If you want to just click the book club link.
Oh yeah, book club kit. Thank you. I'll click on that. And there is, you go ahead, Bailee. I'm taking up too much time.
You're just fine. Yeah, the link will take you right to the kit that you can check out through us, be able to talk to the wonderful Mackenzie and get that kit right to you. Librarians can check out kits, but should be an easy task from there.
And if
we
you
don't
look,
have kits of, oh, sorry, Sally.
I was just looking below Lions and Liars, and it says the following may offer book club kits matching your search. And there's Three Rivers Library System.
Mhm.
So you can click there and go to their collection. And I did not check with them before today, but I'm pretty sure they will lend to anybody in the state. But with their group of counties, they pay for the books to be returned to them. And we don't do that here. I think we ask you to pay the postage to send the books back.
Mhm. And now, are these discussion? I see there's discussion questions here too. Are these different ones than what are on the One Book for Kids and Teens page, or are they the
Let's
same
find
one?
out. I don't know.
We're going to find out right now.
Oh, I think this is the same one as on our page.
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly looks like it, but
Yeah, that looks like the same thing.
good question. So if you're here and you want to look for something else in the kit, in the book club kits, how do I get back to that?
Well, let's go back to the main page.
Okay.
So
Collections
down
and
to
NLC.
and NLC book club kits, right
Oh.
over on the side there.
Here it is. Thank you.
And there's quite a few different ways to filter through this. Grade level is one of interest for Nebraska kids and teens, obviously, but you can search by title, genre, whatever you're interested in. It'll be able to filter it out and find you what we have here in our collection.
Wow. Lots of genres. Let's see what grade level gives us. Oh, they can be, they're going, so if the book is labeled grades 3 to 5, and you just click on grade 3 and ask for a genre, that title will show up because it's in that range.
Yep. And
I believe that's true.
yeah, I also
that would take a
believe that's
while.
true.
And we should mention too, we do have, we talked about how the One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens titles, all the previous ones have book club kits. Those are not the only children and teen level book club kits we have. There's other titles as well too. So if you're looking for, if you do have a children's or teens book club, you could go in here and see what other titles we have that might be good for them depending on what ages they are.
Yes, we've got quite a wide selection. And something else I believe that we've talked about in the past, but is always useful, is if there's a kid or teen book that is a series, we also have a resource that will let you see the order in which those books were released and the proper series order, because sometimes it's not so easy to tell, especially.
I just looked up Half Moon Investigations because I believe that was the first non-adult book that was added to our collection many years ago.
Wow.
I brought a setback from a Scholastic Book Fair sale. And this is a lot of fun. And Lisa Kelly has told me that occasionally people who are they're looking for something different for their adult book club group. And she recommended this. Now, I don't know if she still does, but she did this for a few years. And they all came back and said, that was so much fun. We loved reading that. So there are people who might like to read Not Nothing as adults. So, keep that in mind too.
Absolutely. But do we want to pull up the books in series, Sally?
Okay. I think it was over here. Whoops, not collections. There we go. Is it over here? There
Right
it
at the top.
On the right at the top, yeah.
is. Okay. This is something to help you learn. What's the title of book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is that correct, Bailee?
Yeah, so it'll be able to guide you through what order a series is released in, which sometimes they're numbered easily and sometimes they're all over the place and it's hard to tell what order they were released in. Can you think of one like that, Sally?
Well, this is just too easy.
True, but
I'm pretty sure they're going to have this in there. So I typed it by series title. I could have done the author, and I'm going to click search series. Well, and look, aren't they thorough?
Mm-hmm.
Not just the original series of 7, but companion books and lots of foreign language titles. You might have someone in your library area, if you're reading a Harry Potter book, who would like to read it in French or Spanish or something. And now you know the title to search for it through interlibrary loan or something.
Yeah, I know we get lots of comments from people all across the country who use our books and series. And it is something that, like Lisa and other staff down in our reference department are very, they're always adding to it, because books are always, authors keep adding new titles to their series. And try to keep us up to date as when something new comes out and get it added to here. So yeah. Another one, yes, you could type, try and search for like the Dresden books. That's one that's got a lot.
I've sent them a couple of times.
Yes.
He's always coming out with new ones still. As I know,
I should have used this website when trying to figure out the Dresden books.
And then, so if you look up books in here, so I'm curious about.
Oh yes, I don't know adult books at all anymore.
Cool. So if you click on the series title, does that bring you to somewhere like to get the books, or where does that go to? Like where it says series Dresden files, when you were looking at the list of them?
I'm getting you glitching in a computer. I think it's.
Oh yeah, your audio's doing something.
My computer, where you are glitching in and out, so I'm not hearing everything you're saying. You said something about the series.
Yeah, where I was wondering what happens when you click on that where it said Dresden titles. Yeah. Looks like, Sally, you might be having some technical issues.
It seems like it.
Yeah. All right. We are going to then. All right. Since she's having something going on there, Bailee, I'm going to make you presenter, if that's cool.
Yeah, that works.
So you can get your screen up, and you should be able to share.
To take over sharing.
And yeah, bring up that series thing there.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. So the question was, when you are looking at the list of them, what do those links go to our catalog, to somewhere to purchase them, or? Whoops.
It would help if I spelled it right. There we go. So let's click here and find out. And I think that took me directly to this page.
Okay. So it just goes within our system. Okay.
Then if I hit Jim Butcher.
And I think this does answer someone's question if they did type in, is the books and series search for all books or just children and youth? And as you can see here, anything that's a series, we work to try and keep up with. So you'll find both children's, teens, adults, anything that might be out there.
And as I just learned, you can search a certain author, click their name, and it'll take you to all of their series as well, and have all of those in order.
Right. So they're not just the Dresden books that Jim Butcher's written, but other series that he has. Yeah. This is very useful. I know some libraries use this when you're trying to purchase books to do we have everyone in the series, and which one are we missing, and what is it called? And like you said, Bailee, some of them are numbered, so it's easy, but they don't always. No. Sometimes it's just titles and you've got to read them or something to figure out which one comes first, which one comes next. Sometimes the order of reading them matters and sometimes it doesn't. Do you want to read them in publication order and chronological order? That's a whole decision of your own.
Yes. All right. I think Sally's still having some tech issues.
I've used Google, just Google to search this to find out, but this makes it so much simpler. Well, good.
Yes.
We're happy to have this, provide the service, yeah.
I'm looking over our list here to see if there's anything else we maybe haven't touched on.
I will mention, going back to the book club kits.
Yes.
We were looking at the ones from 2025 to show you how that all works and everything. As I'm sure many people have heard of in the news and whatnot, the state is doing budget cuts to all agencies. And at the moment, due to our own Library Commission budget cuts and projected ones, we are not able to purchase the books for book club kits for the books for teens and kids yet this year. We don't know if we will be able to at all, unfortunately, due to their cuts to our budget. We are pretty much have a freeze on purchasing anything new at the commission for our collections at the moment. So unfortunately, there are not book club kits here for those two new titles for the year for 2026. I don't know if the systems have them. We have not checked in with them if they've purchased them or are thinking about doing it. They have their own separate budgets. So you may need, if you do want to do a large, discussion of this, you may need to find the books from elsewhere, interlibrary loan from other libraries, purchase your own for your collection.
Three Rivers Library System has a set of 10 of
they
the
have it for, okay.
That's the only one I know of that
Cool.
the system has.
We do also take donations to our book club kits too. We are happy to have donations from many libraries who maybe have had their own book club kits for a time and then they don't need them anymore, or they've realized they've bought too many copies of some title, a previous title, and they will send us some extras or something. So we do take donations. So if you do have extra copies or something and you want to send to us here, Lisa, Mackenzie handles the book club kits, right? Who handles the book club, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Mackenzie here. They will work with you on what you want to donate and getting something into our book club kits if you want to.
In talking a little bit about the future titles, because the last couple of years, both books have been what we would call realistic fiction, average lives. But I haven't had, we did have one graphic novel in 2024, and I'm looking for another good discussion graphic novel. I haven't run across one yet. But that's something. And I was saying, is it too hard to have discussions with humor books? Because I think kids love humor books, but that's kind of, maybe it doesn't have, because it's so humorous, maybe there aren't discussion points in that book at all. The other thing I'm thinking is I haven't had a science fiction or a fantasy for a while. And I'll tell you right now that horror is not going to happen while I'm here. If I want to read it, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm sure I know kids love it, for some kids anyway. But my sister loves it. I can't handle it. I'm no good.
That's okay.
You suggest that Bailee will read it, right, Bailee?
Maybe.
Someone does want to know, what is the deadline to give you suggestions for the next year? Is there a particular time when you usually try to have this decision made for the next year's titles?
Ideally, we try to have the decision made by NLA conference time, but it doesn't have to be that. We want to have next year's up on our page, just the titles and the authors, by the end of this year. Yeah. So, I need time to read it, and we need time to discuss about which of these titles are we going to go with this year. and you suggest it this year, and maybe we don't choose it for next year, but maybe it comes in at 2028 because it was a good suggestion. So don't give up.
And now you mentioned the criteria that it has, that it meets the paperback.
Yes, it doesn't have to be, but for the original purchase, paperback used to be cheaper. They're not as much cheaper as they used to be, but still. And for the mailing, but I've been told that the weight for the mailing, it really isn't that much difference between paperback and hardback. So
not anymore, yeah. And someone wants to know the one book for Nebraska, One Book, One Nebraska always has the Nebraska focus. We don't have that requirement for these titles, right? They don't have to have like a Nebraska author or something about Nebraska in them.
No, it's just something we think that Nebraska kids will be interested in and like, or teens. So if you're working with kids or working with teens and your group has found something interesting and you want to send it in for the whole state to talk about, you'll be at a disadvantage because by the time it becomes a One Book for Nebraska teens, the next group of teens will be coming along. So maybe it won't be a problem for you. And of course, I'll also ask you to help with sending in ideas for discussion questions. I'm not going to make you do all my work, but if you're enthusiastic, I'd certainly accept some ideas. Why would I say no?
And I know sometimes for these and for the One Book Nebraska ones, we've had the authors be involved as well, that they have their own discussion questions, or they have these kind of activities or things set up for them.
Yes, we have in the past found things on the publisher's page, discussion or activities that go with a certain title, and also on the author's page. Sometimes I'll have something about this particular book, and here's some things that go with it. Tom Watson, Stick Dog.
Yes, Stick Dog. Yes, he joined us that year.
Joined us on our NCompass Live one year and taught kids how to draw Stick Dog. Yes. It's still in our archive. You can go there, but you have to call that one up and go to almost an hour in, and then that's when Tom Watson starts. So do it. Show it to the kids. Have them draw Stick Dogs. It doesn't matter that he's not the One Book for Nebraska kids this year. I think it's just fun. I always pushed his video he did for us.
And for easy reference, that's 2016. So you can just go right to it, and it's linked right there next to Stick Dog.
Thank you. Oh, yes. Do I say there to go an hour in on that?
You don't, but I could make a note to add that.
It's almost an hour in, like 58 minutes or something. But
got it.
You can listen to us talk about everything we've been saying now, again, if you want to, via our viewpoint from 2015, but you could just go right to Tom Watson.
That's really fun.
Okay. Says okay. We do have another question. Do you ever hear feedback from libraries on how the activities went for their groups? Do you ever hear back from anyone who has used any of these One Book for Nebraska kids and teens?
That's a good point. And yes, occasionally I'll get an email or somebody will send in some thank you notes that the kids wrote. Thank you for having this book and these activities. Nice. And it's very nice. And I am very neglectful because I have not created a reporting page because I don't want to make more work for librarians, and that's what I'm going with, because I don't know. But anybody who wants to let me know something, and I'll take negative information too, because that helps us get better. If you send it back and say, so like where you are right now, Bailee, I think we have some what I call puzzle pages, or like clueless crossword puzzles and
yes.
Word search puzzles. I did that a lot early on because I knew how to do that and it was easier to do. And so we tried to get away from that a little bit with these more recent ones, because there are other things out there, like with Not If I Kill You First, there's a how to make a hatchet throwing thing for kids. You don't use a real hatchet, no.
No.
But things like that. Amy Owen here at the commission was helping me for a while, and she found some stuff I hadn't found, which was great fun. And Bailee is now my helper, and we're gonna, who knows what we'll come up with for next year, because she's on the ball too. She has lots to do and her other duties, but
it's always, you know, depending on the book, there's going to be different activities and things that will relate to it. Like
Right.
I love this one, the Lucky Scramble one, and doing that. I had no idea that Rubik's Cubes had an association and official competitions either.
Yeah, and I think that's just so fun. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of younger cousins and things that are really into Rubik's Cube and maybe don't even know that that is a thing. So
yeah, that's great. Well, so I think we've covered everything I had planned. And if we don't have any more questions, you're welcome to email me later and ask a question, because I'll reply. And my answer will be, I never thought of that. Great idea. Thank you. Or, we're going to try that next year. We can add things to this page.
Oh, sure.
Now, so if you have a puzzle for one of these books and you're willing to share it with the state and everybody else in the world, because other people can come to our page and see what we have, then send it to me, and I'll ask Bailee to put it up, because she knows how to do that. I'm slow and pokey.
Yeah, we're always looking for more ideas. And definitely let Sally and Bailee know if you do use these in your library with your children or teens and how it went.
That'd be great.
So we'd love to hear.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions from the audience that you want to ask? We still have a little bit of time here. If you want to ask anything right now, you can type into that question section. While we're waiting to see any final words, Sally or Bailee, about the program, anything you want to wrap up with?
I'll just say that I enjoy this this program or project, whatever you want to call it, because I like focusing in on a couple of particular books and thinking about what is it in this book that might make a good activity or might be a good discussion question. And also, here are some things like we had talked about, the how to throw an axe activity for Not If I Kill You First. Wonderful, interesting things that, I don't really want you to throw a real axe at anybody, but this is look it up. You'll see how to do it. I hope that's got a good connection. Bailee, do you have anything to add?
Mm-hmm.
I think we kind of went over everything, but these are both great books, and I hope that the kids enjoy reading them.
Thanks.
Great. All right, thank you. Just got some thank yous coming through. Like I said, great ideas. We'll definitely maybe try and use them. Thank you, Krista, Sally, and Bailee. You're welcome. All right. I am going to hopefully pull presenter control back to my screen. Yes. Like I said, new interface. We're hoping everything works, but it seems to be doing okay. And so, all right. And I think I'll wrap up for today's show. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you, Sally and Bailee, telling us all about this year's One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens. I hope lots of kids and teens will read both of these and learn a lot and get really into, talking about what they've been reading. The show is recorded, as I said, and if you use whatever is your search engine of choice and type in NCompass Live, you'll find our main page and also our archive page. This is our main page with our upcoming shows for the next couple of months. But right underneath there is a link to our archived shows. Most recent one at the top. So today's show will be there at the top here. Should be up and ready by the end of the day tomorrow at the very latest. Everyone who registered for today's show and attended today's show will get an email from me letting you know when it's ready. We push that out onto our mailing list here in the Library Commission and our social media. We have a Facebook page for, go back. There we go. A Facebook page for NCompass Live. So if you like to use Facebook, give us a like. We post reminders. Here's a reminder to log into today's show. And when I announced about last week about today's show, I'll post on here when the recording is ready. We use the hashtag NComp Live, a little abbreviation of our show name where we post anywhere. I also push it out on the Library Commission's Instagram account, my LinkedIn, anywhere. And you also saw it was on our main blog page as well. So we do try to push information out about it wherever we can. While we're here, I'll show you, this is our full show archives. And you can search the show archives if you want to search the full show archives or just the most recent 12 months. You want something really recent. And I'm going to do a search because we were talking about this, about the previous sessions. I'm just typing in one book. And if you, we want to see previous one book for Nebraska kids and teens shows that we've done. All of them are here, as well as, because I just typed in one book, it also brings up the sessions that are for our one book, one Nebraska that we do as well. And here's the one from 2016 with Tom Watson. But we have tried to have shows as often as we can about this. We have known way back when there was a one book, one Lincoln. So if you want to see any of the other one book for Nebraska kids and teens sessions that have been done, you can do that. But this is our full show archives going back to when NCompass Live first premiered, which was, and you can see here we have shows actually in 2009. So if you, this is 26, makes this our 18th year of the show. Oh my gosh. So if you are watching any of our older shows, and if you're not, do just be aware. You can see here, this is a really long page if I scroll all the way down, which I'm not going to do. But just do pay attention to the original broadcast date of anything you do watch. Some of the shows we find to watch stand the test of time, be good, useful things to watch, but some things will become old and outdated. Links may be broken. People will work in different places than when they presented for us. Resources might have changed drastically, all sorts of things. So just be aware of that. But we will keep these up here. This is something libraries do. We keep things for historical purposes often. And as long as we have a place to host, to keep all of our shows, which is right now the Nebraska Library Commission's YouTube channel, we will always have them up there for you to go back and take a look at things.
May I add one thing, please, before we sign off?
Sure, of course.
I have to apologize to Allie Carter. The name of the book is Not If I Save You First. Though in the book, she's thinking about she wanted to kill him. And the link to how to make an axe throwing game is still live. So
Nice.
I'm glad it's still there. Yay. Thanks for letting me add.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So that wraps it up for today. Thank you so much again, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Sally and Bailee. And look for that recording tomorrow. We do have our show booked all the way through June, and I've got sessions added here, as you can see. So you can see everything we've got coming up for the rest of April and May and into June. Next week, we will be talking about emergency management in libraries. A little more serious topic than today's fun kids and teens books topic. But Brian Kendall, who's from the Arkansas River Valley Regional Library System, will be joining us about how to prepare for the unexpected. It's something we all should be doing at our libraries, have some sort of a disaster preparedness plan. So please join us next week and join when Brian will be sharing how they do that in their system and things that you can do with your library. And sign up for any of our other upcoming shows. So thank you, everybody, for being with us today. And hopefully we'll see you all on a future episode of NCompass Live. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.